Hello everybody, welcome back to another severe weather forecast here by Asian Weather Forecast. We are going to be looking at these brewing storms here in the north central plains here as we have an enhanced risk and can't run to possibly for a level 4 moderate risk. These storms are starting to brew up across areas of the Dakotas and also for portions of the western plains here. We're going to be seeing very large hail, strong tornadoes, and also devastating and strong winds here with these strong storms. We're going to be monitoring that very closely. Also, we're going to briefly talk about Tropical Storm Cristobal as it nears the landfall for Louisiana, and it continues bringing devastating, catastrophic flooding, strong winds for areas in the coastal areas, and also going to be seeing actually deadly storm surge and also very large waves. We're going to be continuing to monitor that very briefly so you guys can have a little bit of update where the system is. But also, if you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button to show all your awesome support, and also hit the like button so that you love this video. But without further ado, let's get into this video. So here we are looking at the National Weather Service here. Look at any active alerts that we have actually related to the severe weather. But also we're going to be looking at the alerts we have for Tropical Storm Cristobal as well. Because, I mean, this is still a big system. I'm just not going to talk about it here. I'm going to briefly talk about it. So here we still have these tropical storm warnings and storm surge warnings for portions of Louisiana, Alabama, even portions of Florida here. We have New Orleans still under tropical storm warning and storm surge warnings. These will not expire anytime soon as the system has yet to even make a landfall, seeing very large impacts even for the inland areas. Going to be seeing extremely widespread and also devastating flooding for most of the Mississippi River basin here, but also all the way to Missouri. We have flash flood watches due to the extremely widespread storms here, and also this is starting to slow down a little bit, so still going to be seeing that possibility for major flooding here. Could possibly have 9 to 12 foot waves here, and also up to 4 to 8 inches of rain, maybe 10 inches maximum here. Really heavy rain here. We still have a tornado watch for portions of southern Alabama, Mobile, and even as far east as Pensacola, we have tropical storm watches, and we continue to have these flash flood warnings now for portions of Florida and Georgia. We have flash flood warnings, and also we do have storm surge watches for portions of the southeastern coast as well for Louisiana, and scattered flood warnings. And then we also have a special weather statement here. I believe this is severe weather related. We are going to be seeing hot and breezy conditions here for portions of these areas, and this is going to be very favorable for this severe weather. So we do have we do have some special weather statements for the heat, which is actually very favorable. The overday heating very favorable for the severe weather. And then here we have these these flood warnings for portions of Michelle, Huron, South Dakota, as these storms are starting to brew up. Let's go and take the satellite imagery really quickly here for Tropical Storm Tropical Storm Cristobal. Here's this low pressure right here. We are starting to see a ton of vorticity and actually seeing a ton of convection in the system. You see a lot of convection moving in at this point. You can see this a lot of cyclonic rotation, known as vorticity, just like tornadoes, but tropical. As you see, this is the low pressure system. It is nearing a lot closer to the Louisiana coast. It's actually going to possibly affect the islands, and then maybe even go in portions of Mississippi, or maybe even go like this, because it is actually a lot more to the east than expected. Models did show it going like this, but it's all the way over here now. So who knows, it could possibly make a landfall in Mississippi as well. That could obviously change the amount of rainfall for these areas as well. So definitely something we are still not exactly sure where this will end up. Of course, we do know, obviously, by the track, it's going to be going straight for the U.S. landfall in Louisiana, but we might have a second U.S. landfall for Mississippi. That's the thing we don't exactly know. Obviously, it wasn't there the first track, and it still isn't, but I see a lot of dense cloud cover as far inland for portions of Mississippi. Louisiana seeing very dense cloud cover, and start seeing that dense cloud cover going out as far west as Texas, and continue to see these clouds breaking up here for portions of the southeast. But this cloud is going to go back up and bring in some really cloudy conditions here. So this is continuing to move closer and closer to the Louisiana coast, going to very well have a landfall extremely soon. You're going to be seeing some partly cloudy conditions now for the southeastern coast, but that's because you are nearing the eye. You're nearing the eye. You basically are in the eye wall, basically, where you see this very little cloud cover here. That is basically the really unorganized eye of this tropical storm. Also, let's go check out the satellite imagery here for the south or the northern plains here. As we are seeing some very strong bands starting to develop here for portions of South Dakota and even North Dakota entering the Minnesota area near Fargo and Grand Forks. Definitely seeing some very strong thunderstorms starting to produce here. We are seeing a lot of energy here. We're going to be seeing this Cape Valley is coming in place very soon, which is going to make these storms kind of really pop up. Actually, most likely these strong bands will pop up most likely right here. We're also seeing some stronger bands trying to develop for portions of the other side of South Dakota, and even portions of Montana, and even Montana as well. Let's go and check out here the storms for parts of the Southwest really quickly here. The Southwest, or sorry, not the Southwest, the Western Plains are also seeing very strong storms and even snow. We're seeing snow reports for south of Salt Lake City, seeing some strong bands developing for portions of Wyoming, Idaho, and Utah, and also some strong scattered systems across portions of Colorado, Wyoming. That's going to be bringing some. You're definitely be seeing a huge cloud cover explosion right here for portions of the Dakotas very soon as these storms start to ramp up. Let's go and check out the day one here. We have enhanced risk all the way from the Canada border to portions of south central South Dakota here. We have a very widespread threat. We have tropical storm Cristobal right here. Let me actually change the color right here. We have severe weather for the really the Gulf Coast because of Cristobal. This is Cristobal right here. That's tropical storm Cristobal. Actually, I kind of want to make this look more organized. Cristobal. This is Cristobal, tropical storm Cristobal heading right there, and then we also have the big severe weather likely out here for parts of the northern plains. So we have one area, the Gulf, and then another area, the northern plains, for severe weather. As you see, we have up to 8 million people under a marginal risk, for including Salt Lake City, Jackson, Mississippi, Tallahassee, Gainesville, and West Valley City, Utah. And that's going to go all the way for portions of the Great Lakes. And we have very widespread slight risk as well, including New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Mobile, Metairie, Gulfport, also including Bismarck, also including parts near Rapid City, Gillette, even Jasper, Wyoming, Casper, Wyoming, and all the way in portions of Utah and Colorado. And then, of course, where we have the enhanced risk, that's where we're seeing the worst threat right here for really strong storms, including tornadoes, large hail, and damaging winds for South Dakota, North Dakota, and Minnesota. So we are seeing this severe weather starting to ramp up from the northern plains as we enter the season, that time of year for strong and big outbreaks for near the Canada border. We have up to 606,000 people under this enhanced risk. Not that many people. That's including Fargo, North Dakota, Grand Forks, Moorhead, Aberdeen, and West Fargo. So the same cities really as yesterday, really, except the enhanced risk is a bit more to the east. They have updated this to a 10% chance, which I did predict. I did predict a 10% chance here, but here we had a 10% chance for far northwest from Minnesota, with the border of North Dakota, and then we have that 5% chance for portions of the northern plains, where we have that general enhanced risk, and also a 5% chance for portions of the Gulf Coast with that really strong severe weather bands for the outer band of Cristobal. And that 10% chance, 10% chance hatch risk there is for Grand Forks, North Dakota there. So the Grand Forks is definitely going to get hit the hardest basically today. That's really the biggest city that's in the threat of this 10% chance hatch risk. Wind threat, 30% chance hatch risk for portions of Fargo, Grand Forks, Moorhead, Aberdeen, and West Fargo, where we have the enhanced risk, of course. And we have widespread wind threat for portions of the northern plains and even all the way to the Gulf Coast. And then we have a 30% chance hatch risk for Fargo, Grand Forks, Moorhead, Aberdeen, and West Fargo. Exact same areas where we have that enhanced risk, obviously. Very strong bands likely here. Very strong bands capable of producing very large hail, significant damaging winds, and also a few tornadoes are expected here. And let's go and check out the NAM3 model here in next coming hours here, where we get a lot more energy coming in place in this general atmosphere here. Very strong bands trying to pop up across portions of South Dakota here, south of Pierre. That's going to bring 989 millibars central pressure. So very gusty winds as well here. Not only severe weather related, but non-severe weather related. Very, very strong potential squall lines are likely here. We can maybe have 1 or 2 QLCSs passing by here for portions of South Dakota. That's going to head near Grand Forks, Fargo, Detroit Lakes, Minnesota there. Portions of near Aberdeen, South Dakota, Michelle, and also going to bring another strong band after this into really overnight hours. Very powerful bands heading towards the areas in north central Minnesota and also much of the Dakotas Very powerful bands for sure, without a doubt. And this is definitely bringing some strong tornadoes, likely, and really, really large hail. Let's go and check out the Cape values here. So Cape values will come into play later today, which is why we are starting to see these bands starting to pop up here with this cloud cover. You are starting to see that pop up because we are starting to see that Cape values coming in play, which is why these bands are just starting to pop up here. So this is where we see these Cape values right here. Look at where those clouds are. South Dakota, North Dakota, and Minnesota border. And that's where we're starting to see that. Oh my gosh, I hate when that happens. That's where we're starting to see those Cape values starting to pop up a little bit more. So the energy is coming to play here, up to almost 4,000 joules per kilogram here. As you see, a marginal tornado threat, only 20.1 on the superset composite parameter or composite parameter, and very weak cap. So we're not going to be seeing anything capping out really. As you see, we're seeing some decent. All this energy flow is going to be coming from the south. So we're going to be seeing a lot of energy flow here. And as we now monitor this closely into later today here in the overnight hours, where these bands completely just ramp up absolutely crazy amounts of energy for portions of Minnesota. We have up to almost 5,100 joules per kilogram. We have an 8.7 SCP, very, very high numbers, a 95% chance for significant hail, and 100% chance for significant supercells there, and a 5.2 on STP there. Wow, absolutely on the in the fixed model, and also 41.8 on the supercell composite parameter, which means a very good possibility for supercells. Even portions of North Dakota, 4,700 joules per kilogram, no issue there. 2.9 on STP, almost a 12 on supercell composite parameter with a tornado as a hazard. We have a huge line of energy here, a huge area of energy, portions near Michelle and even Aberdeen, 4,000 plus joules per kilogram with a 2.5 on the SCP and a 20 plus on the SCP. And then as we continue, this energy will kind of die down. So will those bands as well. But still going to be seeing up to 2,000 joules per kilogram. But obviously, still going to be seeing tornado possibility. But really, it's not going to be seeing as many or as strong. And then we'll see another energy flow tomorrow coming in. Later on, we're going to be seeing another area of flow, where tomorrow we have a slight risk for these areas as well. 4,500 joules per kilogram. Seeing a very big possibilities for the next coming days for the northern plains, without a doubt. Superset composite parameter, we have up to a 33 here for portions of the South Dakota area, up to a 10.4 on the significant tornado parameter there. Absolutely crazy for South Dakota. And then I think I get 6 hours, we're going to start seeing the energy coming into play for the northern plains, and then we can get all the way up into possibly a 34 on the SCP, with a 9 on the STP, with negative 36 as cap. Very, very weak cap. This thing will not cap out. And then we see the energy coming back once again for tomorrow. Could be seeing very, very good numbers here for portions of Nebraska, almost a 40 on the supercell composite parameter, and an 8 on the STP here. Very, very good numbers for the next coming days here. For today and tomorrow for the severe weather. And this is where we continue to see this tropical storm crystal ball right here. Hope you guys did enjoy the video. Please do not forget to like and subscribe, and bye guys.